those who don't know, and for those who do know, Wimbledon, the finals were yesterday, and we crowned a new champion. I think a lot of us have a lot of questions we want answered, and there are a lot of conversations that need to be had as far as the nature of the situation. Now, of course, when it comes to men's tennis, we've known the same thing for so long. It's been the big three, and we expected Nadal, Federer, or Novak Djokovic to win the whole thing. That was just the nature of the situation back then. However, yesterday, for the first time in 5 years, we had a new champion at Wimbledon, and that guy goes by the name of Carlos Alcaraz. It was an insane match. It was ridiculous to watch. One of the most exciting tennis matches I've ever watched in my entire life, and I want to go into that. But of course, before I get into this video, make sure to like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell. You guys help me out a little bit, and without further ado, let's get right into the video. Now, of course, talking about the nature of the match and how it went. Now, of course, Carlos Alcaraz is the new Wimbledon champ, but how in the world did he get there? As far as the match, early on, it looked like Novak Djokovic was going to dominate. He ended up winning the first set 6-1. He dominated, and you know that he has a superior experience advantage. So you're like, okay, maybe Djokovic is just too good for this guy. Maybe he's too experienced. Maybe Alcaraz is going to win the U.S. Open, which, of course, is later in the year. However, as the match started to progress, Alcaraz really started to set in well. He looked a lot younger, more polished, physically more able. He had more stamina, and we all know stamina is a strong part of Novak's game. Stamina is one of the things he's known for, and as the match progressed, Alcaraz surprisingly looked better. Now, Alcaraz also dominated with his serving late in the match. He has insane power with the forehand and the backhand. It's just gift with Carlos Alcaraz. His power was ridiculous. Even in the semifinals, there was nothing opponents could do with the power that guy had, especially with the forehand. The backhand was also super special. He had a lot of skill shots. He showed us the finesse he had on top of the power in the match, and he just dominated the whole way. He won the next 2 sets after getting blown out in the first one, and eventually ended up winning the whole tournament. Now, of course, I think there's a question that needs to be asked. Yesterday, did we see the official change of the guard? Now, I understand everyone's going to be like, Micah, calm down. Djokovic just had an off day. It took a lot of mistakes from him, but that's kind of the nature of the situation, right? I mean, it seemed like Novak was a lot less. I'll just say his ability has declined a little bit. He's getting older, of course. He doesn't have that same energy, that same burst he had when he was younger, and I think that was very, very noticeable in this matchup, and I think it was more noticeable than ever in this matchup. It felt like for the first time in so long, I watched Novak Djokovic not only be out-youthed, he wasn't out-energized, he was also outclassed, he was outperformed. Alcaraz looked more polished, he looked more powerful, he looked more prepared to take the risk to win, and that's why I think this question should be proposed. Alcaraz, the whole match was simply better. That is it, and for the first time in years, it felt like Novak Djokovic faced a legit challenge in every facet, in every part of the game. Now, keep in mind, the experience that Alcaraz just gained on top of his potential is ridiculous. This man's only 20 years old. He's less than 3 years older than me, and he's doing this. Meanwhile, Novak is 36. It's like yesterday we realized the guy was human. He doesn't have 10 years left. It's not like all we know, it's like all we knew just came to a pause yesterday. It's like, okay, we finally see that he is human. He can be beat at Wimbledon. And for the first time in a decade, we're forced to ask ourselves, is the best player in tennis anybody other than Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, or Novak Djokovic? Is the best player in tennis Carlos Alcaraz? Is Carlos Alcaraz that next guy? Is he that next 20-time champion? For the first time in a decade, we have been forced to ask that question. And I think that is going to make things really interesting, especially at the U.S. Open. If Alcaraz wins the U.S. Open, I think the seriousness of this situation really, really, really ramps up. But we all know the court is where Novak usually dominates. So I think if he participates, I think he'd win the U.S. Open. But I'm telling you, man, if Alcaraz can win the U.S. Open, I think the seriousness of this situation has to ramp up. People are going to open their eyes and be like, oh, shoot, we might have a special guy here. As for his potential. Let's just see what's for the future. I mentioned the U.S. Open is right around the corner. I'm guessing Djokovic is still going to chase that Grand Slam record no matter what. He's got 23 right now. He's one shy of 24, which would tie the record. Is he going to get 25? Man, that's a tough judgment call because the guy is 37 years old. It's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. Now, Alcaraz is going to be the number one seed coming in. He's going to be the favorite to win it all, of course. He came in as the number one seed at Wimbledon, and he's going to stay the number one seed. And we could possibly see a rematch, between the Joker and Alcaraz really, really, really soon. And that is going to be exciting. I'm going to love every single second of that rematch. Now, the bottom line is that I think we got a glimpse of the future, no matter which way you put it. We saw the human part of Novak Djokovic yesterday. Now, do I think he'll likely break the record? Yes, I think he will. I think Novak Djokovic is probably the greatest tennis player of all time, especially the greatest male tennis player of all time. But only time will tell. We have to see if Novak is willing to play in the U.S. Open. We have to see if Alcaraz is going to play in the U.S. Open. Nothing has been properly determined yet, so we don't really know. But I think we're in for a rematch. I think these two are going to have a budding rivalry, and their individual performances against each other are going to interpret what the crowd thinks over the next 10 to 20 years. It's going to interpret, could Alcaraz beat this guy multiple times? Was Alcaraz better than him? Was Alcaraz the guy who took the torch and Novak, very reluctantly, let's just be honest, passed him the torch? Is Novak too old? Is Djokovic done? Is his career over? Is it over for him? All those questions have yet to be answered, but I think they will be answered after the U.S. Open. Of course, amazing. I think it was an amazing match, an amazing tournament. I felt like the match was one of the best matches I've ever seen. It was one of the greatest tennis matches of all time, and it's going to go down in history, and I think it's going to be a really exciting time when the U.S. Open out in Flushing, New York, near Queens, comes around, and we are all here in the United States to watch it. But of course, I'm going to end this video. Thank you for watching. Really, really excited to bring you guys more content. Of course, I wish you nothing but the best. Stay loved, stay blessed. Without further ado, I'm going to end this video. Thank you for watching.